Back in December of 2025, I separated my Pilea and took her out of my north-facing window and placed her here in my south-facing window. Now, as you could see, I've got two in this Ikea greenhouse, and the growth difference is very visible. And let me show you how the same exact plant with the same exact soil in two different locations on the same exact window have grown differently. So the reason that I separated it was because the water was going right through when I was watering it. The soil had become hydrophobic. I actually have a short showing you exactly how I did it. Like I just separated the plant, I changed out the soil, I added some mycorrhizal fungi to it. So it does have the exact same soil. However, there are two differences between these plants. One of the differences is that she sits on top of the greenhouse versus the other two are inside. Now, if you know about this IKEA greenhouse, a lot of people with plants have them. They are not the best at keeping moisture inside of them. They're known to have like a lot of these gaps, and I'll show you. It's not a perfect setting, okay? It's got a lot of airflow loss. As you can see, you cannot really keep humidity in this guy consistently. So it's not like truly a greenhouse effect, but it does keep some humidity versus the one that's just sitting on the top, right? My house stays around 68 to 69 degrees all 4 seasons. So our house is chilly. However, the greenhouse is going to cause a barrier of that AC flow as well. It's going to kind of inhibit airflow versus this one that's just sitting on the top. And so there is a microclimate that is happening. It's not a huge greenhouse effect, like it's not a true greenhouse effect, but it is significant enough. I'll show you why. So like I said, this is sitting on the top, and then these two babies, these are smaller though. They were the smaller like pups that came out of the original Pilea, but we could definitely see that there's a lot more dense growth. The petioles are shorter, and I do have a lot of new growth. See that? So she does seem happier in the greenhouse versus the one at the top does have new growth, but it's definitely not as dense. The petioles are a lot leggier. She's not as bushy. And the new growth doesn't even seem all that amazing. So I am thinking that the airflow is definitely affecting it. I wouldn't say that the humidity would make a lot of difference because the Pilea can grow. It was growing just fine in my north-facing window. The leaves were actually a lot darker when it was in the north-facing window. It had a more like wintergreen, beautiful foliage, but she was struggling. And so I'm starting to wonder if maybe, because I do want her in my room in the north-facing window, and so I'm thinking that I'm gonna grab one of these guys and put her in the north-facing window anyway, now that she's got new soil, and that she's doing so much better. And I'm going to keep two in the south-facing window. But I'm definitely going to bring the one on top of the greenhouse into the greenhouse because I see that the difference is kind of obvious. Like there's, although this is a smaller plant, you could just see how the growth differentiates. Like you could just see it. Let's also state another obvious fact that we could see. I have one in the terracotta pot, that's the one on the top, and the other two in the greenhouse are in plastic. Now the plastic I do like because I could see the growth. I also know when it's time to water it versus this one. You could see like right now it's a lot darker because it was recently watered and it's heavier. So I know that she's fine, but this one does dry out a lot faster. Now, once I put her in the greenhouse, I'm going to be able to see if she's drying out faster just because she's in terracotta or because she's receiving so much more airflow or maybe both, right? But I am going to move this one down into the greenhouse and keep this one as well. And then I am going to experiment a little bit and put my new soil, new baby in north-facing window. My fear with putting this guy back in the north-facing window is that my bedroom is a lot colder than all the bedrooms in the house. The AC blows a lot stronger in my room. And so I might have to do like another small greenhouse setting for her just because I don't want her to go into like too much shock coming from a greenhouse in a south facing window with direct sunlight into a north facing window with no direct sunlight, a lot colder. And yes, it's humid and a lot more humid in my room because I have a humidifier in there for my ferns, but just kind of want to keep her in a similar, I don't want to shock her too much, if that makes sense. Another thing that I want to note is that when I separated my plant, it was December 3rd of 2025. So it was like right smack in the middle of winter, and the sunlight was not as strong. Even though they are in the south facing window, the sun wasn't as hot and as direct versus now in the spring, it's a lot warmer. The sun gets a little bit closer, especially in the summer. It's probably going to get a lot hotter. And because they are so close to my southern facing window, the temperature is definitely going to not be 68 to 69. It's probably going to be closer to like 71, 73-ish, I would think. So that's something that I'm also going to be watching because there is a big difference now going from winter to summer because I live in Texas and we do have 2.5 seasons here. Like it's either really hot, really cold, and the in between are only a couple of days. So we don't count spring and fall because they're barely here. I think that's definitely something to think about. My setting is this, I do have south facing window real estate, and so I do try to keep that window very occupied and have lots of plants on there. But I also have to watch out for our summer coming up and maybe either moving the greenhouse a little bit more forward or moving the plants a little bit further away from the sun, just because I did see a difference in the greenery. These are a lot more lime green, which I love. I think it's really pretty, but there is a big difference. When I had them in the north facing window, they were a lot more dark and the petioles were a lot more red. It just had a lot more contrast. It was a lot prettier, I think, visually in that sense. My opinion, my perspective, but I don't mind the lime green either. And so it'll be interesting to kind of experiment with these guys and keep you guys posted. Is there a difference? Does the IKEA greenhouse actually make a difference with the growth of plants? I think it does. It's not a huge difference, but it is a significant difference. Maybe your house is as chilly as mine and the airflow may not be like the most ideal for your plants. The little greenhouse will probably make a big difference in the sense that it will block a lot of the AC that's flowing around the house. It will maintain a little more humidity than normal. I will say this is not the perfect setting. Once again, I do have to maintain water on that bottom tray. Like I have to fill it up every other day, and not fill it up, but water the bottom tray every other day just to keep that humidity in there. I expect that in the hotter days, I'm probably going to have to refill that water a little more and then open it so that it's not too hot in there because the summer sun here is quite hot. So if you're here to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like this video as it helps my little channel out so much. I love experimenting with my houseplants. I don't grow my houseplants for aesthetic purposes. More of like my vibe is more of like, I just love plants. I love what they look like. I love taking care of them. I love caring for them. I just love having them around me. If you are into real life plant documenting, then hit that subscribe button so that we can stay connected. Thank you, friends, and let me know in the comments below if you have had a similar experience with a little greenhouse or specifically the IKEA greenhouse, because I feel like this is like a very popular one that all plant lovers kind of pick up, and some of us go ham and fix it up and weather strip it and all these things, and that's fantastic. I did not do that, and so I'm giving you like right out the box into a windowsill. These are the results. Okay. All right, guys, see you later, and thanks for watching. Bye.